Hello, and welcome to Running Behind. I'm Joey Metzger, and today I am joined by Neeraj Egbert. Neeraj was born in India. In 1994, he had the opportunity to come to the U.S., where he ultimately stayed and settled. He got married, became a physical therapist, and somewhere along the way, he discovers trail running. Well, in 2024, he won the lottery. The Western States Lottery, that is, when he was selected to run that iconic trail race. He trained, raced the best he could that day, but ultimately the timing clock on the Auburn track went blank about 2 minutes before he could finish. No belt buckle, no finish, and no certainty that he would ever get the chance again. And then something magical happened. You know, sometimes fate has a way of knowing just who to shine down on. Well, this is his moment, and this is his story.
Like my parents or my sister or my friends would say, you roll the R's a little bit, it's like Neeraj.
Oh.
But,
Neeraj.
I have gotten so used to saying Neeraj, it's perfectly fine. In fact, I tell my patients, because they're bewildered, they look at the name and they really want to do the best they can. And I'd say, well, think about your knee, because you're probably here for your knee or something like that. And think about Roger. So, just go with Neeraj, and that's perfectly fine.
Neeraj.
So, yes.
Neeraj.
Yes. I appreciate
Wonderful.
you asking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I looked it up. That means waterborne. Is that correct?
It does, yes. And it means lotus.
Okay.
Lotus, waterborne, and my mom tells me it's named after a poet.
Oh, wonderful!
So
that's great. My legal name is Joseph.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older than you, but we're in the ballpark, so this will be good. We'll have lots of familiar timelines to talk about. But I was. My legal name is Joseph. Been called Joey since the day I was born. I'm 57, and no reason to stop calling me Joey. But my mom and dad, there was a song in the 1950s called "I Remember Joey" that they loved, and so it took them 6 kids, and they finally got to me, and they said, "There's our Joey." So that's how I got my name. It's nothing cool like Lotus or Waterborne, but still.
Yeah.
So welcome. I'm recording now, and this is, like I said, this will just be real casual, but I'm super excited to talk to you. I actually, Neeraj, I found out about you from a friend of mine, Mandy Hansel, who is a trail race and triathlon director with her husband here in Minnesota. And after Western States, she's actually been on my podcast, and she's a listener to my podcast. As I told you, I'm no Dylan Bowman. I am not I Run Far. I've got about 57 very loyal listeners who are going to love hearing your story. But she pinged me after Western States when I Run Far did a story on you and said, wow, this guy is really interesting. I don't know if you could ever get him on your podcast. And I was like, fat chance that dude wants to talk to little old me, to Joey. What the hell does he want to talk to me about? But so I am tickled that you said yes. So this is super exciting. I think let's start at the beginning. If I don't know, did you have a chance to listen to any of episodes of mine? I think you said you did listen to one or two of them.
I did, and it's awesome.
Okay.
I love the stuff you do.
Okay.
And it was great. I had a good time listening to them. I'm a fan.
I am just doing this for fun. I am not as an accomplished runner or trail runner as you. I know we'll get to the fact that you don't like to call yourself a runner. If you don't call yourself a runner, then what the heck am I? Because I'm not even close to you. But I love trail running. I love talking about it. In my former life, I was an actor, did a lot of creative stuff. So as I've gotten older, I'm like trying to find venues that, appeal to me, and the podcast kind of came along, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying getting to meet people like you and talking and having conversations. So I like to start these with an icebreaker question. My first question to you, I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me one word that describes you as a runner.
Let me see. Well, I think ordinary, just ordinary.
Wow, just ordinary. I would. Wow, we're going to talk about this, Neeraj, because I think you are extraordinary,
No.
but we'll get to that. So, one word as a runner, ordinary. One word as you, a person. What's one word that would describe you as a person? Sometimes it's the same word, and sometimes it is completely different.
I think I'm passionate.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Very good. Coming from the actor, I'm like, I'm all over that. That's great. Good word. Wonderful. So let's get started. I want to start at the beginning. You were born in India. Tell me about your childhood. And I think I messaged you, I'm always interested to know those of us who are trying to do these long trail races later in life. How the hell did we get here? I grew up not athletic at all. I didn't do any athletics hardly at all as a child. First, tell me what it was like growing up in India. What was that experience like?
Yeah, absolutely. My stories can get a little long, so just let me know if I'm just going
Oh,
on and on.
this is
So,
perfect.
um,
I love long stories.
it's interesting how I think at my age, I start thinking more about the past and about where I was born and how my childhood was. So some of these things are, and maybe it's part of, memory. I mean, those memories are coming back more now. I forget things like my kids' performances sometimes, the more immediate stuff, but the stuff from the past, that's got new meaning to me all of a sudden, more recently. So I was born in India. I was born in a town called Lucknow in India, and Lucknow is in North India. It's a very interesting town because it's got about an even number of people of different faith in there, like Hindus and Muslims. So I was born in this sort of a very diverse, beautiful city. The best food in the world, I think. The best people. Um, I remember my dad even saying that when people would get mad at each other there, it almost sounded musical. They were nice and kind in a way, even in their insults, I guess, as such. Um, but I was born in Lucknow, and then my father's job took him to different places. I spent the first 5 years of my life living in a town called Nainital, which is up in the mountains. And I lived, I looked at the elevation, it's about 7,000 feet. A beautiful, beautiful town in the mountain. And Nainital, um, it actually means, Tal means lake. So it was a mountain lake town. Um, Beautiful. We lived there for the 5 years, and then we moved to a place called Nagpur, which is like in the middle part of India. And then from there, we actually moved back to Delhi, New Delhi, which is where I spent most of my childhood. And that was probably when I was about 8 or 10 years old. It's interesting thinking about my first place where I lived with these lungs, as a newborn, Nainital, is because, I live in Kentucky now, but altitude has never been an issue for me. And I know a lot of people, they said, how do you train? What do you do? And perhaps, maybe I just kid myself or think it's true. Like maybe it was like the first 5 years of living in this mountain town where we were really active. As a kid, I was the most active in the first 5 years of my life because we could run around. Heck, we didn't wear shoes or nothing like that. I know it's a bit, but because it was fun, and we had free reign of this place where my dad worked. Um, and I think as life progressed from there on, um, when I moved to the different town and got in school and colleges, and it became more like, academics, which is a huge part of life in India. But the initial few years of my life may have been what really made the biggest difference in my ability to run and travel and my desire to seek places that are beautiful and different.
Okay. Okay. How so? How did that influence you? How did that influence you later in your life?
I just think about the beautiful mountains. I mean, we were in the foothills
Yeah.
of the Himalayas and we could see the snow-capped mountains. In fact, there was a place where we could climb up to that legend says, and it's been a while, so I might be wrong in this, but you could climb up there and you could see three countries. You could see China, you could see
Wow.
Pakistan, and you could see, of course, you're in India. That it, not, you could see the mountains like far, far, far in the distance, but the most amazing, breathtaking. So I think I seek that out. One of my first race, my first 100 mile was the Tahoe Rim Trail, and the reason I signed up for that was because somebody said it's beautiful. The mountains are beautiful. It's like a picture postcard every turn you make. And to me, that struck a very kind of adventurous, my childhood. I wanted to be like that kid again that I was when I was like, 5 years old before life happened. I wanted to go back, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a question for you. You said, growing up in India, was there certain expectations for you in terms of your career, your profession, or was that not really a thing in your family? I know sometimes there's pressure to be this career or that career or You mentioned education. Was that part of your childhood? Anything like that?
I think academics in India were huge as far as being able to excel in, the sciences essentially. So there was a lot of pressure from parents to have your percentage scores really high, and that was the only way, in sorts, to succeed in life. There are people in India, some of them really great friends who their parents owned businesses, so they got into that business, or, they were doctors, so, they were encouraged to become doctors or engineers. My dad worked for a nonprofit, and my mom was a school teacher. So their education to me was the only way you're going to succeed is if you study as hard as you can. And it's kind of like Indian culture to a certain extent, because they would always
Yeah.
compare. They'd say, "Hey, you know what? We met this auntie or uncle, and their kids are studying 14 hours a day. You're watching a little bit of cricket here. What gives, you know?"
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was very serious, you know. I find a little
Yeah.
humor in that because we think about that now, and I find humor in that because imagine me saying that to my kids now, but I don't. And they're
That.
both
Yeah.
musicians. One of them is getting a master's in
Oh, I
music
love it.
education and performance, and the other one is
I
excelling
love
in
it.
music. But growing up, it was very specific for me. Become a doctor, become an
Yeah.
engineer, or your life is going to be mediocre. It was pretty much very frank, very straight up.
Yeah. I'm always interested in that. I have friends and coworkers who grew up in India, a few of them, and they always mentioned that the education, like you say, the academics was so competitive, so, stressed that you had to do this and the studying. And I'm just like, wow, that is such a difference from when I grew up. Like I did none of that. I was like, my dad, he owned his own business, and before that, he grew up on a farm in North Dakota, and he was like, "Don't do either of those
Yeah,
things. Go to school or do something." So
yeah.
yeah,
I come home after my tests, show my dad my result, and it was like 90%, and he would always say, "I think you can do better." You need to do better. So
Oh
it was
God.
always, but that's the best. That's the best
Oh
in you at that time. That's how it was.
yeah. But they're wanting you to succeed, and so that's, I mean, I
Yeah.
understand that. So let's talk about how and when you got to the United States. What brought you over here, and when did that happen?
So when I was in college, and I got to college without getting 100% in physics, maths, chemistry, and so I was doing a degree they call BA Pass, which essentially means, you're just kind of in college, you're going to get a 4-year degree. And I was studying,
Mm-hmm.
I think,
We call that liberal
yes,
arts over here. We
yes,
call that a
liberal
liberal
arts,
arts degree.
absolutely. Which,
That's me.
which when my mom would tell other people what her son was doing, it would probably be more like, oh, he's in college and he's going to St. Stephen's, which is went to school when I went to college. Um, but I don't think she'd say liberal arts actually. But anyways, so I was just kind of going through the flow of college, attending about 25% of my classes. I was not really interested in it too
Yeah.
much. Um, I saw this, advertisement about an exchange program in the U.S. and I went ahead and applied for it. And I realized it was not very competitive, so they offered me the opportunity to come to the U.S.
Well,
And the program was working with summer camp counselors, summer camp as a summer camp counselor at the YMCA camp, like just down the road. I
oh
see it all
yeah.
the time now. I had no idea at that time what I was going to get into. This kid, gosh, I was probably about 200 pounds. I mean, I was significantly overweight when I was a kid.
Wow.
I didn't exercise very much. Mom cooked food. That was a way to show love. And and
Yeah.
she just watched us eat. I mean, at some point we were
Yeah.
like, me and my sister, we figured like, listen, the only way to stop her from watching us is just eat the food and just be done with it. Um,
Yeah.
so pretty out of shape kid, I never got into sports too much in India because I had kind of given
Yeah.
up, like if you're if you
Yeah.
play sports, you're always going to get picked for sports. There was very little opportunity
Yeah.
as you grew up that you could learn a new sport. There was no organized,
Yeah.
soccer or t-ball and stuff like that they had there. Or now they have organized cricket, but at that time they didn't. Um, so anyway, I saw opportunities in two towns in the U.S., two cities. One was Louisville, Kentucky, and the other one was El Paso, Texas. And I think I chose Louisville just because I guess it was close to Chicago. I thought it was really like next to Chicago, very close. I could just, walk over there or something like that. So, again, I had no idea what I was getting into. I'd never been on a plane, ever left, uh, you know, India, of course, but never been on a plane till I was 22. Um,
Okay.
I,
Your first plane ride is to the United States, and you land in Manhattan.
I
Is that what you
do,
said?
I do. So I took a connection to London. I flew into London and then to Manhattan.
Oh
So I got
God.
off the plane
Oh my
there,
gosh.
and my mom had, of course, fitted me the best attire, which was a button-down shirt
Yeah.
and trousers. I was
Very
coming in for
nice.
camp, summer camp, and
Very
proper,
nice.
shoes. And I
Yep.
got off the plane, didn't have an air, now, of course, everybody's done this forever. I mean, we didn't have phones like everybody has now. So I got off at
No.
JFK,
No.
came out. By chance, the person who was going to pick me up found me. I just don't know how, but she was there and she was coordinating the
Wow.
camp. Um, Found me, and I was in the car. I was in the U.S. Woohoo! It was amazing. It was really. This is in the movies. I mean, I've seen the movies about it, but it was like,
Yeah.
whoa, these cars are going real fast. And of course, the
Yeah.
skyline. It was just amazing.
Manhattan.
They took me to
Uh,
orientation at the place we were going to do camp, and they were like, "Oh, after all the stuff, you're going to have some food." and they said this is the best food we have in New York. Here, come have some of this. And I had it, and I just thought it was like the most bland thing I'd ever had. Because
What was it?
you
Was
know,
it? It wasn't pizza,
oh
was
no,
it?
no, no, it was lasagna. It was probably the best lasagna.
Oh,
But as a kid who'd never, I mean,
oh,
I had never had lasagna
sure.
before. I
Yeah.
was like, this is a little sloppy here. But
Give me some
yes,
spice.
right.
Give me a
So
little heat.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how I landed in New York
Yeah.
City. I was there for about 2 weeks for orientation. Loved it.
Okay.
Loved it.
Okay.
Um,
I hear you saw a Broadway show.
did. So I was there with these other counselors. There was a couple from Australia, and there was from France, and this guy from Sweden. I still remember his name. His name was
Okay.
Carl. And
Yeah.
they all decided we're gonna go to Broadway. And of course, I was just tagging along. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And they
Yeah.
said, well, you got to buy these tickets. So, parents had given me like $300. That was it. That's all I ever came with
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
India, and two suitcases. And when they said
Okay.
$60, for a second I tried to convert it into Indian rupees, because your brain initially had to do that. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I could
Yes.
I could do some major damage with this much money in India. This is for a show,
Right?
$60. Of course, I couldn't back out of it. I mean, I couldn't just
Yeah.
hang out the streets of New York. I was like, I want to be with my friends.
Right.
So
Right.
went for the show, and Joey, it's absolutely one of the best memories of the US is
Ugh.
watching Phantom. It was incredible.
Oh.
I mean, it was totally
Uh,
worth it. Of course, the money
yeah.
was, I mean, a fifth of everything I was going to spend in a month, I spent in a ticket,
Yeah.
but it was incredible.
But the memory is priceless. And now today you look back and you go, $60 was probably a pretty good price
It
these days.
was,
But uh, yeah, you're talking to the right crowd. My wife and I, we go to New York, and of course, me being an actor, we when we go to New York, it's all about how many shows can we see, and how cheap a tickets can we get because we just go to everything. So that warms my heart that you liked Phantom and went to see Phantom. So you go see Phantom, you land in New York, and then you pick Louisville, and you go to Louisville. Now, going from Manhattan to Louisville, I've been to Louisville, or I cannot pronounce it correctly. How do they locals say it? Louisville
I
or
think
something
there
like
this is
that?
something
I'm
like
not
you've got to
gonna
have like you pronounce like you've got marbles in your mouth or something. I just say
Louisville.
Yeah, I don't
I don't.
know. It's just Louisville.
Yeah, but my best friend and I we are bourbon hunters, so we like to go down there
Yeah.
and go on tours and distilleries and we don't drink a ton, but we like the experience and we like to find new bourbons. So I've been down there a lot, but it is very different than New York City. Neeraj, what was it like when you landed in Louisville? Where you're like, oh,
Well,
what was that?
there was KFC, which everybody was like, "Hey, gotta have some KFC now that you're in Louisville." It was a
Yeah,
it was a it was a culture shock. It was huge.
yeah,
I realized that I loved walking. We walked everywhere in Delhi. 25 million people, and
yeah.
New York too. And all of a sudden, yeah, there was like nobody on the streets. I was like, "Hey, I'll just walk there," and people like look at me like strange. They'd be like, "You're gonna do what? Let's give you a ride."
That,
And I was like, "No, really, I'm gonna be okay." And they're like, "No, no, no,
yeah.
you're not." Yeah, it was very
Oh,
different. And then even seeing the cars, and I'm used to in India, when you see a car, you fit about 10 people in the car that size of a little Honda Accord. And out here, there are people like in big SUV, a big car by themselves.
Cadillacs.
Yeah, by themselves. I was like, this is different. I'm not used to this. What's going on?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
no, big change in
yeah,
Louisville. But I did work here, for a while, and I did the program, and then I got offered a
yeah.
job to work at the YMCA. That's where I worked for about 6 years or so after that. About 5, 6 years.
Um, and you must like it because you've been there over 30 years now in
I
Louisville, right?
have, yes, yes. Part of me, like, I went to school in St. Louis because I wanted
Okay.
to kind of get out of, just experience something different. I mean, Louisville's great. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful beautiful town, and Derby time it gets
Yeah.
kind of like, beautifully made up and then it's different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I went to St. Louis and got my doctorate in PT, physical therapy, and I think part of that was I really did want to leave Louisville. I wanted to, experience something else,
Okay.
something different, because I feel like I had come so far and I wanted to experience different things. Before I started school, my wife and I decided we were going to go to the Grand Canyon. So, of
Mm.
course, I say, hey, let's drive there. And again, she looks at me like I'm crazy. But we just started
No.
driving, and I think we were somewhere around
Yeah.
Illinois, where I think she had me sort of pull over and had a sort of a recheck moment to know that we were really going to do this, and I was like, yeah, we're really going to do this. And sure enough, we stayed at KOAs, and we just kind of camped along the
Yeah.
way. And we made it to the Grand Canyon, and on the way there, this beautiful, beautiful country. I mean, that's such a tremendous
Yeah.
trip to go through New Mexico. We didn't go through Colorado, but New Mexico was amazing. So part of me wanted to go there and go to
Yeah.
Arizona. I wanted to get out there.
Yeah.
And if someday I still might. I don't know, but I have a call for the
It,
open. I want to be in the open.
I I'm the same guy, and my wife too. We don't have kids, so we have two dogs now. We had two, we lost one, but we have another one now. And I did a podcast recently. I was out at the Mammoth Trail
I heard.
Fest. I did the 50K out there, and I did a few podcasts about that. But we love to drive, and we would take our dogs with. We've driven. We live in Minnesota, Minneapolis. We've driven out to the north coast of Carolina. So we've driven. I've been, like I said, we've driven through Kentucky, we've driven through all those states, we've driven through Boston, Cape Cod, Maine, we've driven out to Mammoth, California, we've driven up into Canada to Banff. We love driving, and I don't know if they do this in India or not, but I always tell people if you can, I mean, it's not always cheaper than flying because you're paying for gas and all the expenses along the way. But if you can drive, if you have the time to experience all those different areas, every state is different. I don't know if you thought that too, but every state we drive through, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like a different country. It's so amazing. You don't even have to leave the United States. Of course, we like to travel across the world if and when we're able to, but the United States is just incredible traveling across it by car. That's so cool. So you went to the Grand Canyon. Now you didn't do the rim to river to rim thing that a lot of trail runners do, did you?
Actually, that trip I didn't. We only went a little
Okay.
bit down from the South Rim, but I did attempt
Okay.
the rim to rim to rim in 22. And that
Oh,
was
you did.
actually, Joey, that was my first DNF, in my opinion. And then
Wait, how
I
you can't DNF in the
well,
Grand
no,
Canyon?
because I didn't succeed. I didn't finish it. So I went down. So I started. I know this is jumping
What?
ahead, but
Hmm. This
the
is
time I
fine.
chose
Go.
was in March. I said end of March. I saw some videos. COVID had,
Ooh.
shut everything down, and I
Yeah.
got a cheap
Yep.
flight. So end of March, and I kept looking at the webcams, and it said it was like icy and snowing and stuff like that. So now I see because I had gone there like before school in 2000. When I arrived there in 22, looked over the rim, and all of a sudden I had like this drum beating sound in my head because all you saw was this fog. It was overcast, and there was snow at Bright Angel Falls, right? Is that because I was like, I'm going to take that. I'm going to
Yep.
take Kaibab Trail. I don't know which one. I wanted to take
Yep.
Kaibab, but it was so ominous. So, yep, no, I started.
Yeah.
I didn't start as early as I wanted to. I made it down to the river,
Okay.
but of course I had
Okay.
to wear micro spikes. I got the Catula micro spikes, which are awesome, by the way. I, I,
Okay. Well, in my five pieces of gear, save that for the end.
yeah,
I'm going to
it
ask you
was
for
so
five
cool.
favorite
It was
pieces of
like
gear.
I could have actually gone faster, but I didn't because it was so. I mean, it was totally dark at that time, but I made it
Are
down.
you by yourself,
Oh
by
yeah,
the
this is
way?
this
Are
is
you by
solo. This is
yourself?
all solo.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
just had to do
Crazy.
it.
Okay.
So I got to the river, and then I lost time, and I should have gone down Kaibab Trail, but I tried to be more protective by going down Bright Angel Trail. And then I
It's
got
longer.
six
It's
miles.
longer by about 4 or 5 miles,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. And then I got
Yeah.
to about 6 miles across on the other side. I think it's called Cottonwood. I'm not sure. Campground. I didn't
Okay.
exactly make it there. And that's when my knee, and it has nagged me till Western States. And what's amazing is this is how life turns sometimes. Since Western States, touch wood, I have a belief, and I know this is crazy, but I believe that being outside does something to our bodies. And, you know, I've not had any trouble with my knees since I got back from Western.
Hmm.
It's amazing. But
Wow.
for all these
Okay.
years, I think it started on that area. I was in the canyon, in the box canyon, right? Yeah, I
Yep.
had my across
Yeah.
the bridge, I had my lemonade. Everybody's got to have the lemonade. It took too long with that.
Yeah.
It was too
Yep.
sweet. I couldn't drink it
Yeah.
anyways. I know it's blasphemy to say that, but I
Right.
turned around, Joey, and I came back up, and I made it back well in time. I had to catch the flight the day after, but I could have. I
S-
feel like I could have gone all the way to the North Rim. So in my mind, that's I don't think a race DNF matters so
well,
much as that
you,
does. I mean, I've gone to like other places, but I want to get that
I know,
back.
but I've got questions on this because my wife and I we did rim to river. We went down Kaibab and we came up Bright Angel. We did rim to river to rim, and we got divorced 3 times on the way up, and that's a whole nother story. I talk about on another podcast. But so you went all the way down across. You went to Phantom Ranch, got your lemonade. You continued on, and then at some point you turned around. Did you come back up Bright
I came
Angel?
back Bright Angel. Yeah.
Oh
So I
my
went six
God,
miles across
that's
on the other
so
side of the
hard.
river. And
You ended up doing how many miles?
well,
20 plus
it was about,
miles?
I think it was about, the actual thing is about 45 miles, I think. It's been a while, but I think I landed up doing about 40. I did a bunch. And then the climb up was brutal because, the sun never hits the initial part of
Right,
Bright Angel. So on
right.
the way up,
No,
I was like, I'm
it's
gonna
all
do it without,
ice.
oh no, on the way up, I got my micro spikes out within a
Oh,
mile. And yeah, I made it up. But I was so disappointed. That was, I had always, Joey, one of the things I've always done is,
yeah.
when I did like, I did Tahoe, and then I did the Bear. I only do these because I heard this sort of aura about these races. They're like these
Yeah.
beautiful, and there was nothing like it. And that was yeah, that was tough. So no, but I am gonna go and get that back someday. And this time maybe I'll take my kids with me or something like that. The boys would have a good
There
time.
you go. You need to have people with you. My wife and I went, and I mean, like I said, we got divorced 3 times on the way back up because I was not running at that time. I was not an ultra runner. We were not prepared. We didn't know how to fuel. It was just kind of a nightmare. But the problem is when you get stuck, it's not like you can go out to the Highway 47 and grab a car. You're stuck. You got to climb out of that canyon. There's no way out other than to get yourself out of there. And if you're tired or sore or injured, it's just absolutely relentless.
I told my
Um,
wife before she left because she asked me, and she's like, "What are you gonna do?" I did get an InReach, a Garmin InReach, so that might be my second.
yeah,
But I, so I had like a backup plan. Even when I travel now, maybe my wife, because we don't want to work on the divorce thing either, right? So I have the insurance plans, and I have the whatever search and rescue
yeah,
Garmin plan. I have a little extra thing from work, so I
yeah,
kind of cover myself more now. But sometimes I wonder
yeah,
if 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 that's what makes it different, because I'm trying to get the
yeah.
same feel back from my first few years of running, and maybe it's this, I don't know, but I guess I can't do that to my family. I gotta have the backup just in case.
You, You know what I think it is? This is my opinion, and this is why I'm always like, I'm old, I'm slow. I got cut off at Mammoth 50K. I do these things because I'm curious, because I want to know, like you do, what's at the top
Yeah,
of that mountain
yeah,
in India when you're a kid. What does it look like from the
yes,
top? What can I see from there? Can I really see China? I mean, that's
absolutely.
why I do this, because I want to see what's on the other side. I want to explore, and that's why I do
Exactly. And
these.
that's why some of the
That's what it is
races
for me.
that are like around here, like in Kentucky and some of the Olympic, even like Mohican was one of them. You do all this climbing and you get to the top and they say, yeah, you reached the top of the climb. Like, there's nothing here. They're just trees. Uh, I, I want to see
Yeah,
something significant. So, no, it's beautiful too.
yeah.
But totally, I want to see what's on top. And that's the goal. I want to get to the top.
All right. All right, let's backtrack a little bit. So you're in Louisville. You get married. You've got your physical therapy degree. When do you start running? Was that while you were going to college for physical therapy degree, or at what point do you go? I'm gonna start running. How does that even happen? And now eventually you get to Western States twice,
Oh gosh.
but we'll get to that.
Well, no, running wasn't anywhere in the equation. I mean, I did not want to run. I when I worked at the YMCA, I used to see these runners and they'd come around lunchtime and they'd take off running across the bridge, across the Ohio. And I was like, no, and that's
Yeah.
never gonna be me. Didn't do it in PT school. I didn't do it. In fact, in PT school, one of the classes you actually had to run a mile because we were doing a
Yeah.
test. You were kind of testing each other, your estimated VO2 max. I remember I was so worried that people would see me die in the class that I actually went and practiced running a mile. I was not confident
Okay.
that I could actually run a mile. So yeah, no, no running. In fact, I told, you know, from 2004, and I feel bad about this now, from 2004 till 2015, I told people if they wanted to run, I'd be like, yeah, sure, you're free will, go run. But I never encouraged people. I had something very super positive to say about running. I was like with the docs, I guess the orthodox had gotten in my head. Oh, it hurts, don't
Yeah.
run. If it hurts, put a boot on it, things like that. And so I
Yeah.
bought into that. And I think I
Yeah.
started
Sure.
running when I was, it's blurred. It's like different things. There are two instances I remember. One thing I remember, I was in India and I had gone to all the aunties and uncles and they had fed me so much. I couldn't barely move. It was just, I felt terrible.
But you got
I
to eat
gotta
the
eat the
food. You
food.
got to, you don't want to
You
offend
can't
them.
say no. And you just,
Yeah.
yeah. And then later on, I realized that you got to pace yourself when you eat in India. I knew that from the past, but America had made a difference. So then I slowed down in eating so they wouldn't come and fill my plates.
Yeah.
But I felt so out of shape. I just went for a run, just around the hotel, just loops around the pool,
Hmm.
and that felt pretty good. And I was like, yeah, I think I can survive this. I felt better.
Okay.
A very short run,
Okay.
probably. And then the other
Yeah.
instance that I remember, this is probably around 2014, perhaps. I was in Boston for a training, and
Okay.
I the gym at the hotel was very mediocre, and I didn't want to do anything there. So I was influenced by the people around who were very active, very fit, and I said, okay, I'm going to go for a run. Now, mine, I didn't go for a run with those guys though. I didn't. I, I,
Yeah.
I didn't want to kind of like, I mean, come on. I was just gonna go for a
Yeah.
stroll there.
Yeah.
Those guys are gonna like go fast, and they'd be probably like, Neeraj, you can keep up. No, I'm not. I'm good. So when they were gone already, they're okay. See you guys later. Then I started running,
Yeah.
and I ran. I don't know what area, but it was beautiful, Joey. I was like, this is the way to see a city.
Yeah.
And I probably ran
Yes.
about half an hour or so. Came back, felt great. I was kind of awake for my training after that. That was a perk. That was good. I learned some
Yeah.
things at least half the day. And
Yeah.
yeah, then I kind of got into it, and then my wife signed me up for a 5K, and then
Okay.
I did my first mini marathon in 2015. I didn't do it in Louisville because I
Okay.
didn't want anybody to, I don't know, I've always had this thing. I didn't want other people to know me as a runner. You know, because I think they'd see me out there running and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Neeraj,
Yeah.
you run now." I'm like, "No, I don't really. I'm just moving my feet. I'm just moving."
Now, why
I,
is that? I mean, I'm
I,
curious. Is that because you want to, if you're a runner, you want to be a fast runner? Do you want them to think of you as a casual runner? Or I'm just
I,
curious.
I think it's
What?
probably a long time of being told and felt like I was not an athlete. You know,
No.
like my feet are too flat.
Yeah.
Way too much. You look really strange. You look really awkward. You can barely run. That looks really,
Yeah.
you're the last guy coming up. I think that got to my head, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
could you say it was embarrassing? Yeah, but I did not
Yeah.
want to do these
Okay.
things. I still wanted to do it. So, yeah, that's why I think
So you did it someplace safe,
yes,
someplace where
like a
nobody knew
neutral
you. Okay.
place, you know.
All right.
And
Yeah. Sure.
it was Carmel. I don't know any Carmel, Indiana, in Indiana. Yeah,
Carmel.
Carmel. No, no, wait, no.
Okay.
Carmel was my full marathon. This was Columbus. Columbus is,
Oh,
if you've been
Columbus.
around
Yep. Yep.
Brown
Yep.
County, there's a beautiful state park up there, like Brown County. That's
Yeah.
where IU is. But
Okay.
ran this thing in Columbus, and it was
Okay.
great. I did great. My feet got
Yeah.
beat up after 13 miles, and that was great. And then I was like, okay, I signed up for my full marathon after that. 2016, I went to Carmel. Of course, I wouldn't do anything in this area.
Okay. Right. Right.
Did a
Right.
marathon and was totally not prepared. Didn't know what I was doing. Um, I remember showing up for the expo the day before, and I
Yeah.
looked at the pace groups and the guys are there, and they're like, "Hey, what pace group do you want to be in?" Joey, I had no idea. I was just like, they're like, "Hey, my buddy here is a really good pacer." I said, "What's his pace?" "Oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna lead the 320 pace group." and, and I was like, hey, and he's like, "Yeah,
No.
you gotta join me." I'm like, "Okay, great. Yeah, okay." I had no idea. So,
Oh my
so,
God.
so I, I think I ran, I tried to keep up for the first 14, 15 miles. And then it was just a slog. I just slowed down
You
tremendously.
kept up for
I,
14
I,
or
I
15
kept up
miles?
with
I'm
I don't know how. I
super
think it was one of
impressed.
those. There was no top of the mountain, but it was one of those things
Oh,
where I just got to keep going.
yeah.
Something's going to propel me.
Wow.
I landed up
Wow.
doing this marathon in under 4 hours, which I didn't realize
You
for a long
did.
time that, and I didn't want to do any more marathons. It was it, Joey. It was miserable. In fact, I remember I
Yeah.
got done, I came, I sat down, I was crashed, and I sat next to this guy, and he looked at me and goes, "Hey man, you may want to move. I'm about to throw up." And I moved. and, and 5 seconds later, he was throwing up. He was writhing on the floor. I was like, "Oh my God, I don't think I want to do this anymore."
What am I doing?
So
So you started on the roads. We all seem to start on the roads. Nobody really starts on the trails. So you get done with your first marathon. How do you discover trails? And then I want to know how you discovered Western States and UTMB and all of that fun stuff. Because that's the fun thing. I think for me it is. Anyways, I'm the same as you. I did a half marathon. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I saw on a treadmill. I saw somebody running on a trail on a video program on a treadmill, and I was like, I thought trails were for hiking. I didn't know you could like jog on them. What? And so I was like, oh, cool. I can jog and explore these beautiful areas. How did that happen for you?
I think I was looking at probably like fitness videos or something like that too. And I remember this video came up, and it was Timmy Olsen. And Timmy
Hmm.
Olsen had made this. I mean, this is like 10-year-old's video. It's about a little bit about his diet because I think he does like paleo stuff or something like that. And it showed Timmy running, this looking amazing, he had long hair, flowing hair,
Yeah.
running in the mountains.
Yes.
And I was the
Yep.
same thought. I was like, this is incredible. This guy is,
Yeah.
this is, again, this is, you should be able to hike here. And I think it was a video about UTMB, I think when he was there.
Okay.
And, I think it was, then I started looking at some other videos, but what struck me about it was the story behind these guys and the passion behind
Yeah.
how and what
Yeah.
they did. It was not just runners running as fast as I can because I knew I wasn't going to be fast, but I was like, hey, maybe, maybe I could do this because my brain was
Yeah.
programmed, roads, you're just not going to make it. I'm going to break. Something's going to
Yeah.
bad's going to
Yeah.
happen. Um,
Yeah.
I remember watching a video about Badwater. Now I know, this is like way
Yeah.
out there. They're not trail, but I think what got me
Yep.
about Badwater though was the story of this guy who ran the race, and I just thought it
Yeah.
was kind of comical because of the outfits and everything. It was a big fun thing. I told people at work, they were all like dying
Yeah.
laughing. But also like their story. I mean, there must be some way to tap into this human brain that allows people to do this. Like, why do
Right.
people do this? And I think out
Yeah.
of neuroscience and, PT school and stuff, part of me was like, I want to experience this craziness. I want to experience what it feels like to empty it out, but not really.
Yeah.
How does it happen? So I used to tell my wife
Yeah.
this. I said, and a couple of other runners, and they'd really get ticked off at me for this, because they knew I'd train for things, and they'd be like, "Hey, Neeraj, how many miles have you done this week?" First of all, I would do my best to not get in that situation. If people are
Yeah.
talking about running in front of me, I would change the topic. I would talk about the UK team. I talk about football. I talk about the cards. No, 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 no. We're on talking about running. Yeah, okay. So yeah, how many miles? Okay, I'm on the spot, and I'm like, 20. And they're like, well, but you've got this big race coming up. I said, yeah, but and this is really what I said. I know it sounds really kind of dumb right now. But I said I trained for pain. But Joey, that's what it was. I
Yeah.
trained to tolerate pain. And I felt like
You're
at the
training this
gym,
muscle up here.
yes, I feel like I could tolerate pain that other people maybe I could shouldn't say that. But I felt like
Yeah.
I just felt like I could tolerate pain because somehow I had gotten wired to do that through childhood experiences. And
Yeah.
some of them were very, very hard experiences in India. And I think I
Yeah.
had just gotten to the point where I was like, this is the way I can stop this. I can stop anytime. But in the past, when things happened, I couldn't stop. I had no control.
Yeah.
But I can control the pain now. And I think that and the sense of sort of conquering that was the
Hmm.
thing that really got me into like these guys were doing it. This guy, his name is Akos Konya.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys whose videos I watched for Badwater. You know, I know it's a 2 hour long video, but I
Yeah.
watched it. I could see it in his eyes. Like
Yeah.
he was experiencing pain. And I know it's crazy, but part of me was like, I want to experience some of that and see what it
Wow.
feels like and see what I come out from the other side. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, and then journey started from there.
So, what's the first ultra marathon you sign up for? Is it a 50K, 50 miler?
I did.
You've done the marathon. So, do you
Yeah, yeah,
remember?
yeah, yeah. I remember. It was the 50-mile North Face in Duesman, Wisconsin.
Oh, wow. That's yeah, my neck of
Yeah,
the woods.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not
The
far
Ice
from
Age
me.
trails. It
Yeah.
wasn't, part of it ran on
Yes,
the
that's
Ice
a
Age
beautiful
trail.
area.
Again, I was
Yep.
away from Louisville, away from Kentucky, but it
Right.
was it was beautiful. It was, I did my little training here for it. I met with a
Yeah.
couple of guys here. I found a trail group, which was hilarious because,
Okay.
you know, there were like six of us showed up, and these guys were probably, I was probably what was I, late 40s? These guys were mid 50s into their 60s. And they
Nice.
showed up and they said, "Okay, let's go." And they started, some banter amongst them. They're picking each other out. That guy wants to run the short way. No, let's go this way. What? I'm like, I'm lost. I'm like, okay, this is how trail running starts. Okay, fine, whatever. And we get going, and they're gone. They're gone, and I'm just like dying, and I'm falling a couple of times, and one of the guys falls back with me, and he's like, yeah, he encourages me, gets me to keep going, but that's kind of like how I started training for that, and then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so I'm gonna sign up for Duesman, so I went ahead and did the 50 miler out there, which was really, it was a good experience. I had some experiences of that only ultra runners can experience for the first time, and
Yeah.
they were not very pleasant. I didn't want to tell my wife about it on the
You,
way the drive home because
did she go with you?
she,
Did she
she
travel up there
she
with you?
did. She did. She came and the boys
Okay.
came and they had something called a Team Egbert shirt on. Oh, they did
Oh,
the whole
I love
deal.
it.
Yes. That's the other thing that got me into trail running. It's just, my
Yeah.
family they would kind of come with me for a few of these things. So that was fun.
They're very
That was great
supportive.
to have.
Does your wife run at all? I know your boys run. Does your wife run too, or is she not a
No,
trail
she
runner?
she really she doesn't run. She actually she teaches yoga and stuff now.
Okay.
But her thing was that she was a trail runner before I was a trail runner. And then she stopped trail
Oh,
running when
okay.
I started running. So,
Oh,
I almost gave up trail running because of that. You know how it goes. I was like,
yeah.
for, for the sake of the relationship,
Yeah.
I was like, but no, I think she was cool with it at some point. She said, you know what? Why don't you just go
Yeah.
ahead and do your trail running thing? It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. I always tell my wife, and I've got a ton of hobbies. Trail running is just one of them. I'm like, honey, there's worse things I could be doing. She worries about me. Same as your wife probably worries about you while you have the Garmin watch and all that. She got me an AirPod, one of those Air tags for Apple, and
Yeah.
because she worries about me when I'm out on trail runs and stuff. But I'm like, yeah, there's worse things that I could be doing. So it's not all bad. So you do your 50 miler at how long before you do your first 100 miler?
So,
Does it take a couple of years, or does that happen pretty quickly, or when does that happen?
2016 September, I did the 50 miler, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do a 100K. So I always signed up for
100K.
the
Okay.
next race. So before I did Duesman, I signed up for Black Canyon. So I did Black
Okay.
Canyon in 2017. Absolutely no idea what I was going to get into.
That's a hard race. I've had friends that have done that.
It was very hard.
100K and the 50K.
It's
It's
a very
very
hard
hard.
race, and I remember like I showed up with this jacket that was a cotton jacket with these wool gloves, and it was miserable at one point because that was the year they changed the course because of the flash
Okay.
flooding. It was an out and back
Okay.
to Mayor. So on the way back, we
Oh,
got
okay.
pelted with like freezing rain. At one point, my jacket was most valuable pets because my wife worked at the pet store. So I found this the day before I left, and I said, "Huh, that's a jacket. I'm going to use that jacket. Go to Black
Oh, yeah.
Canyon. It'll be okay. What's
Sure.
there to lose?"
That'll
No,
be fun.
no, that thing was, and my hands got so cold because of my wool gloves or whatever. I think my mom knitted them for
Yeah.
me. I was like, I'll just wear these knitted gloves. My hands got so cold, and the only place where we could knew the trail was where the water was running. There was a gutted trail.
Oh, yeah.
So my choices were
Yeah.
keep your hands in your pockets to protect your hands, or keep them out so in case you fall, at least you won't smash your face. Well, I chose to put
Yeah.
my hands in my pockets. I'm pretty sure I fell a few times, and it
Mm,
was it was it was it was miserable, but it was amazing. It was it's
yeah.
you know it's just a build up. it was I was
Yeah.
very I was next running to the guy with the garbage bag on, and I should have had a garbage bag. I should have taken that. I did
Right.
not. I thought I
Yes.
was, next time
Yeah.
somebody offers me a garbage bag to run, and
Always
and
put a
I've got a
garbage bag in your
most
pack.
valuable
Yeah.
you know, pet store jacket and wool gloves. I think I'm gonna take the garbage bag.
Uh,
But I did it, and
uh,
yeah, it was great. I didn't, got my first Western
s-
qualifier for that. That was
so Black Canyon's 100K is a Western States
It is,
qualifier.
yes. I think if you do it in less than
So
19 hours or something like that, but I got it done in the amount of
okay.
time. So that was my number one ticket.
So, okay, let me ask you this. So, when you signed up for Black Canyon 100K, did you already know about Western States? And is that why you signed up for it? Or how did that happen about Western States? How did you find out about Western
I
States?
think Western States was thinking about probably a video. I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw around the time I was looking at stuff.
Yeah.
I came to know about this race and um
Unbreakable,
Unbreak
maybe?
it was I saw Unbreakable in 2018. And it's strange I make these
Mm.
connections because 2000. Ah, you know what? I saw it in 2017. That's what it was. I think I
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
about Western states in 2017 because of maybe Timmy Olsen. I followed a lot of his videos.
Yeah.
Timmy Olsen
Yep.
won, he
Yep.
broke the record, I don't know at that time.
Yep.
So I knew about this race and it was intriguing. Like
Yeah.
California, great. Um, I've always
Yeah.
wanted to. And you know what? This is interesting. When I first landed in the US, there was a couple of places I had to go to. One was, of course, New York City.
Yeah.
The other place was Venice
Yep.
Beach, because as a
Oh,
kid
yes.
growing up in India, I had to go to California.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine and I, we went out
Yeah.
to Vegas. This is like I had been only here for 2, 3 years. Rented a car. We
Yeah.
drove from Vegas to Santa Monica. We stayed at a
Yeah.
youth
Yes.
hostel in Santa Monica. It was awesome. Like six
Nice.
guys in one
Oh,
room. It
yeah.
was it was a blast. Went to
Yeah.
Venice Beach, came back. But anyway, so back on track. California, Western states. So that came up. I saw Unbreakable in I think summer of 2017 because I was training for or
Hmm.
going for Never Summer, which amazing, the most amazing race in the world is Never Summer 100K, and
Never summer? I've never. Where is
it
that?
is in Gould, Colorado, and just it is just west of Rocky Mountain National Park, and they call it the Medicine Bow Mountains. Um, Amazing race. Now it's become so popular. Now they have like hundreds of people apply. At that time, no, it wasn't. It is amazing because for 100K, I think there's like 15,000 feet of elevation. I'm going for the same thing because I had read this, I'd seen this video of this guy going up Black Diamond Peak, and it was funny and hilarious because he was going up and his buddy came along and he was like, "Hey man, you're having a hard time." The guy was like, "Yeah, I don't think I can breathe." And he was holding onto the clods of grass because otherwise, you're just sliding down. So it was one of
Yeah.
those. I signed up for that race and I did that
Oh,
race because I
wow.
wanted to see the view. I wanted to get to the top.
Yeah. You wanted to get to the
But
top.
I did watch Unbreakable then because I had a friend of mine who was my crew. I had no idea what a crew was. What's a crew? I told a buddy of mine, he taught, he, he was a basketball coach. I said, "Hey man, let's go." And he goes, "I don't know." I said, "Here's a video. Here, watch it." So he watched Unbreakable. Don't think he
Yeah.
watched it, really. I think he just took the thing in. But I watched it and it was amazing. Anyway, we tried to get an idea of crewing there, which was a total mess there because I think he got involved too much in helping out with the crew, which meant like snacking too much or whatever. I don't know. I don't think I saw him till the end of the race. But
Uh,
no, so that was Western. From there on, I was thinking about
yeah.
getting into Western. But also, I wanted to run meaningful races, and I've never run the same race
Yeah.
again. I don't run the same race again.
You've never repeated a
The
race?
only one that I repeated was Hallucination 100 this year that I went down to 100K. And the only reason I did that, Joey, was because after I after I got the entry to 2016, initially I was like, okay, I'm good. And part of me was disbelief. I'm like, there are a million people more worthy of this thing than me. Okay. Ordinary guy. I'm the ordinary guy. I don't need that. I don't but then I was like, okay, this is really exciting. I had the ticket, I put it on the piano and then I think I sent an email because you know what? Life has been like this for me. I feel like I've always had a things like not work out, for a long time. So I emailed I think Craig and the assistant rate director. I don't know, I'm forgetting her name. And she emailed back. She said, well, yeah, we don't need anything from you right now. You just have to complete a qualifier before November 2nd. So that's the reason why I tried to do hallucination, but I've never, and the only reason was I was close. Of course, I work a full-time job. I got kids to support and stuff, and my family. I still support my mom in India, so I'm like, I can't travel. I don't have any time off. I work in a
It's
hospital. I work in a hospital.
expensive.
I can like,
Yeah,
10
yeah.
days. I think they're like loading my schedule, so I cannot take any time off. It's expensive. So yeah, but that's the only time I've repeated a race. Otherwise, I won't repeat a race. I unless the DNFs, I'm gonna go back and try to get it back.
Well, in 2026, you will repeat a race for the
Yeah,
second time,
right.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So let's. Okay, so and I don't know how many of my pods you've listened to. Most of my listeners know exactly all the races we're talking about. I have a sister who lives in Manhattan. Her name is Madonna. And so sometimes we go for Madonna in Manhattan, and she's probably listened to enough of these pods. She knows exactly. But Western States 100 is my favorite dream race. Obviously, it's your favorite dream race. You finally got into it. I mean, you've been doing all these races to qualify for it. It's a lottery, and what are the odds for the lottery? Is like winning the Powerball. It seems like it takes forever to build up enough tickets to get in there. It took you what 7 years before you got
It
in,
did. I think
before you
I
got your name
started
pulled.
2017. So there was a year that
Okay,
I did not have a qualifier, but I had 32 tickets, I think. Yeah, when I got in. It was still
and
that's
so
insurmountable odds. That's incredible to get in with 32 tickets. That's unbelievable.
is it? I don't even know.
I mean,
That's
there's a
I
guy he's
suppose.
in Louisville, 256 tickets. He's been trying forever.
Oh, oh
I
my
I think
gosh. So
no,
go
I was
ahead.
just saying you could live your whole life and keep trying and sometimes not even get in.
Yeah,
That's why I feel this is so
yeah.
surreal.
I love it. So do you every year you must watch the lottery when they draw? It's usually in December. And I'm hoping this pod, I'm going to try to release it really close to when they draw for Western States. I think that'll be really fun because we're going to talk about it. Do you watch the draw every year just with your fingers crossed and hoping you get in? What is that like when in 20 December of 2024 you get your name pulled? Is it just surreal? Is it unbelievable? What's that experience like when your name gets pulled for Western
Oh my
States?
gosh. So the first year I watched it. Now, one ticket, I was so excited. Everybody thinks like they got to get pulled in the first year. But I think since then I just followed it. Um, just seeing who's getting in from the area. 2024, I got my qualifier in, and I was on Rocky Raccoon. Yeah, I done Rocky Raccoon, and which is a race in Texas, and it's yeah, it was fun, but it was wet and flooded and stuff. But anyway, so no, for the 24, I was in December driving to Abingdon, Virginia, which is a beautiful trail running town. And there's something called the Creeper Trail, which actually they do a race there. But anyway, I was just going out to the mountains because I love mountains. And Eastern Kentucky has mountains, but I was just driving. And a friend of mine just texted me and he said, I don't think he just said yes. I think he just said yes. And I had no idea. And then after a while, I was like, wait, I know that he watches the draw every year. And so I just got this text reminder. He just texted me. He said, I said, and, question mark. He said, you got into Western. And I'm just driving, Eastern Kentucky. And like, yeah, you got to. I pulled over at the gas station just so that I could call my son. I had no signal. I couldn't get any. My web page wouldn't open on my phone. I called Sahil, my son. I said, "Hey Sahil, can you check and see if I actually got pulled?" And he goes, "Yes, Dad. You actually your name got just pulled." And yeah, it was amazing. Oh, I'm sorry, my little dog is sitting with me, and she's getting
Oh,
little,
good.
little antsy. Nobody can see her.
I I told you I'm a
Oh,
dog
here,
person. I got to
that's
see the
that's
dog.
Poppy.
Let's see the dog.
Poppy is a traveling dog.
All right. Oh,
She's
hi.
a traveling dog, and every
Oh,
time
she's
when we
sweet.
went to the Grand Canyon, we took our other dog. His name was Micah, and Micah is a Shih Tzu, and he was the most amazing dog. And he died a few years back, so we got Poppy, and of course all their personalities are totally different, but yeah, but we love our dogs. Yeah, too.
So you find out you got pulled for Western States. Your mind is
Oh gosh.
blown. Do you start like immediately? Does your training change? Do you like, oh my God, here's when it is. This is December. Do you start going, I got to put a training block in so I'm ready to go? Or what is that from the time you find out till the time you get to Western States? Let's talk about that period. What's that like?
Um, I've never had a coach, so I don't go according to too much of a plan. I run more instinctively. But it was almost like the I knew the weeks were going by. I had a rough idea about how much I needed to get done, running wise. Um, in the past, I've always done races as build-ups to a big race. So I had some of those planned out. Um, but I just tried to stay steady and go with the plan. Oh, that's my wife. I'm sorry. I could continue. Sorry about that. So all I did was I just tried to stay with this plan of staying steady with my running and work. I can't get any time off from work, and the job I do as a PT is very I'm very passionate about my job. I feel like if I'm gonna do something, I've got to do uh, make a difference. I got to make a difference, and that the best I can, and hope for the best as far as outcomes are concerned after that. So, I just didn't have a whole lot of time, and I have two jobs, and I do like a private practice on Saturdays. And I got a bike trainer, so I was getting on the bike trainer. I was trying to run. I was trying to plan out these races. I had one in Georgia, one in Arkansas, and one in New Mexico. At
All
all
before
before
Western.
Western, and they were like 50K. All three, well, Arkansas was 50 miler, and the other two were 50Ks. Also, in the back of my thing, my goal is to run a ultra in every state, and I've done 25 states so far.
Oh.
So that's the other
Oh,
reason I don't
wow.
report
Okay.
repeat races. But I think I everybody says the training plan. I could have done more. I could have planned it more. I probably needed to do more climbing, but I climbed the best I could, and I'm okay. I got on the stair mill, and I couldn't get away as much as I needed to because I had to balance things. I couldn't leave on the weekends because my kids were performing or they were playing sports, so it was okay. I just was like, I love to say that yeah, Western is an amazing race, and it is. There's nothing like it, being on the trails. But I couldn't put a hold on my life, I appreciated and thought it was the most amazing opportunity, and I have just incredible respect and love for the people and what they've the what I felt. This is before the entry into the next race or anything else like that. Um, so yeah, I just instinctively got Training Peaks, which is I use that on my phone, and I am a little analytical, being a PT, trying to look at like training plans and things. But with only so much sort of bandwidth in my head, I tried to do like the best I
Right.
could. Yeah.
So you're doing the best you can with your training. I know from I think what your interview, your two sons were set up to pace you for the last sections of the race, right?
Yes.
They're going to pace you. Is and your wife, I assume, is there helping to crew you, or are they meeting you at the aid stations? Is that the
That
plan?
was the plan. So initially, I wasn't gonna have like two crews. Um, but they decided that they were going to have like the two crews. I don't remember all the aid stations, but I know the after Red Star Ridge was I think it was Dusty Corners, and then there was another one where Crew B goes to. So I had like two different crews, and they met together at Forest Hill. At Michigan Bluff, I picked up my first pacer. His name is George. Um, George is a great friend. George is an inspiration to me because he's the guy who did rim to rim to rim solo, and the year before I did, and so I pick up the stuff from him too. He's a great gutsy runner, and so I picked up George at Michigan Bluff, and then I got to, yeah, Forest Hill was so different. I, I had the,
Tell me more.
I had the
Tell me
lowest
more.
moment at Forest Hill. Now you watch the videos, and there are people, and
Yeah.
there's like cheering, and there's all these crowds and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm coming I'm coming up the road there up to the T intersection so I can take a left onto Forest Hill to the aid station. And you know how at like mini marathons and things, you see people who completed the race going the opposite direction because they're just so fast. Now I know that was not happening, but in my brain made it feel that way. That I was so slow that people had finished and they were actually going the other way around. Of course, I don't know where they were. It was so like demoralizing because I got there and it was nice to see the family there, but I knew that I was probably not gonna be able to do it. I mean, I just felt like this is this is what I could do, and somehow it wasn't gonna happen. And I lay down. I usually sleep in races for like 10 minutes. I've actually had dreams. I actually remember these dreams. At Mohican, I slept for 10 minutes. And I had this dream I do remember to date. It was the best experience. No, Western Forest Hill was just I was too down on myself. They changed my shoes. I got rid of stuff out of my pack. I think people took things out of my pack because I had too much stuff in there. It's all my fault. But I think my backup headlamp went with it, the stuff that came out. So,
Oh. Okay.
so, so anyway, which comes into play later on. But so I left Forest Hill with George, and um, along the way there, at I think it was like Cal 2, Cal 1, Cal. I was so beat down. I was falling. I mean, I was thinking I was like the last of the last. There's no way. This is just totally. Like I knew in the back of my mind, there's a dream race, and I just was proving what's incredibly slow and terrible.
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's
at
hard.
nighttime, and it was just so tough. But I tell you
Yeah.
what turned it around for me. I came to a place. I don't know exactly where I was. It was around Cal 1, Cal 2. Everything gets blurred out there. But I saw Adam Pop. Adam Pop is and I've never met him. I've only heard about him and I've seen his videos, and of course I saw him on at the side of the trail. He is an above the knee amputee, and he was running with another guy whose videos I watched, Dave Mackey, and Dave Mackey is a below the knee amputee. And so I remember Adam Pop when we were like done with the first 10 miles, I think we were at Red Star Ridge and we were going past that. And Adam went by me. And for a second, I forgot I was at Western and I forgot I was like running. And I was like a clinician, you know? And I was watching him run and I was trying to analyze his gait pattern. I mean, somebody should have just like smacked me on the back and went, Neeraj, you got to run your race. No, I wasn't interested. I wanted to see how Adam was doing this because I know like mechanics. I mean, biomechanics is my thing. As a PT, I'm the movement guy. I can figure things out before people even know what's going on with them. So I looked at his gait mechanics. It was mind blowing that in stride he was not falling over, and he passed me, and I wasn't even like standing, and he ran by me. But so I saw him again. I mean, it was incredible. I wish I could have caught up to him and said something to him, but he was too fast. He was gone. But I saw him at at night, and he was there. And I don't know. I think they were pulled over. I don't know what they were doing. But for a second, I was like, Neeraj, seriously, you came here for this purpose, and you got to run, and you got to run harder than you have run before. And this is gonna suck more than it has for a lot of ways. But isn't this why I did this? This is me running Black Canyon and deciding to put my hands in my pockets and I take the fall on my face. I do this because of that. And I think at that moment something set in and I was like, I knew from that moment I was gonna complete the course. I was gonna do it. I was gonna run the whole course. Because it also, watching Adam there reminded me of my patients. One of the things I love to do is I, I, I have patients come to me who are about to have surgeries, and I talk to them about, yeah, sometimes it's needed, but sometimes maybe they can do, therapy. They may not need it, and I work with some doctors who respect me for that. I have a lady who is below the knee amputee who is about in her 70s or so, and very traumatic amputation. And, when she first came in, the way the physicians had referred her to me was for her to be able to do her ADLs like, independently, which is activities of daily living with a walker. That was a goal for her to be able to do that. But this lady had something else going on in her. She was so inspired, and she was like, 5 years back, I was climbing on my roof to clean out my gutters. And these people don't know this, but I'm telling you that. And I said, thank you for telling me that. And Joey, she is amazing. She walks now without anything. If she's wearing pants, you wouldn't even know. And this is not me. This is not, no, it's not. It's the spirit, is her spirit to want to do
It's a
this.
combination. It's a
Yeah.
combination though. I've had good physical therapists and I can appreciate that skill. Sometimes we need that help to get us to do the right things. But yeah, it's her spirit for
But
sure.
yeah,
But
yeah, but we worked on it too. I know
underestimate your
she
part in
said
this.
something really interesting the other day because I'm actually changing clinics. I'm going to a different clinic in the same. And this really made me, this is the biggest compliment anybody has ever given me in PT. She said, "You are not a clinician." She said, "You are a healer." And I mean, I don't know what to say. It still brings something else in my mind is because I think
Yeah,
as
that's got to make you
clinicians,
feel
as
good.
PTs, as healthcare providers, I think we forget. Sometimes we get so caught up in the technical things. But anyway, so when I came back from the race, that's when, I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, when I saw Adam there, um, I knew I just had to do this race. I had to keep going. He was such an
You
example.
had to finish it.
I had to finish it. Like with my patient at the clinic, she can't DNF, right? She can't stop because it's her life. It's her independence. If she DNFs, it's over. She's gonna go in a nursing home and she's gonna get up. I can DNF anytime I want to, I have a comfortable car, I have a hotel, I have an Airbnb, I can go get in the hot tub, I'll be miserable, but I can DNF. My patients can't DNF, and I was like, I just had to feel them. I had to feel their feeling which is nowhere near what they feel. I don't that there's no way I can feel what they feel, this lady feels. But in my experience, I was like, I would not do justice to everything around me if I didn't keep pushing.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, you can control the pain. You are in control, not like in your earlier life. You can control
Yeah.
this. So you're going along. You know you're at the back. Are you? I'm a cutoff chaser, and so I'm looking at my watch. I've got my little spreadsheet. Here's the cutoff at this aid station. I don't know how Western States is. Do they have cutoffs at the aid stations, Neeraj? Are you like worried about hitting a cutoff to get to Green Gate or whatever these aid stations are towards the end?
Yes, they do. So they have the cutoffs, which are really interestingly done because there's a 30-yard pace, and then there's the aid station cutoff. But the aid station cutoff is actually uh, longer than the 30-yard cutoff, which seems counterintuitive. I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess they kind of do it at the end because of people who can make up time at the end. Because, technically the
sure.
race, they say the race gets
Yeah,
easier.
right.
I don't,
It's
it's
downhill.
downhill.
It's
It's
downhill.
just
Snip
downhill from
downhill.
there.
It's downhill.
So, and then they have these horns. They blow these horns, when you're getting close to the
Mm.
cutoff. So if you, I think there's a 5-minute warning. So it goes, then you have the 2-minute
God.
warning. I don't know. I don't know exactly what
Oh
time.
my
I know I had the rules memorized, but two horns, and then I think three horns
yeah.
is you're done. You're over. We're gonna just stop you unless you want to go. So
Got it.
yeah, so I was
Okay.
trying to beat the horns. I got to Rocky Chucky, which is that famous river crossing. I
Yep.
had to get there. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like part of me is like, this is the thing
Yeah.
dreams are made of. You're here, you're late,
Yeah.
nobody's here. No, the people were there. They were so great. These guys are so great. They're cheering you
Yeah.
on. And I pick up my
Yeah.
son. My oldest son is my pacer at Rocky Chucky.
Yeah.
And I see him, and for a moment, um, I mean, it was just this great sense of a reset. This is great. This is
Yeah.
Western. But how great
Yeah.
is it that my son wants to do this with me in the middle of the
Yeah.
night? I'd rather it be like 5 in the evening, never gonna be, but at 5 in the morning or whatever time it was, he was ready to
Yeah.
go. And he goes, "All right, Dad, let's
Yeah.
go." And crossed the river and got going. So he took me from there to I think it was Pointed Rocks. And all along the way we're
Okay.
going there, we're listening to these horns. And at one point
Oh
he's like,
God.
"Dad, you're making up time." We made up an incredible amount of time. Because I think I was like
Wow.
45 minutes at one point from the 30-yard pace or something like that.
40,
We
45 minutes past,
Yeah,
projected to be
yeah.
past the
And I
cutoff
did
at
it,
one point.
and
Okay.
so I was like 2 minutes off. So we made up some
Yeah.
serious time. But Sahel was so funny. He was
Wow.
like, "Dad, I don't hear any horn yet." I'm like, "Okay, great, let's keep going." And then we got to a place
Wow.
where Joey, this other guy, I've read his books and stuff. Scott Jurek. Everybody, I guess, knows Scott Jurek.
Oh yeah. I know
And
Scott.
Scott was
Yeah.
there, and he was. For a second, I was like, "Oh my God, if I had a little time, I'd take a picture with him or something." But I was so dead. All I remember is Scott's really tall. I
Yeah.
remember him to be that tall, or imagine him to be that tall.
Hmm.
But I remember him saying one thing, and that stuck. He said, "You've got a big climb. Walk purposefully. Do it
Okay.
purposefully." I don't know I know he said purposefully, but that was
Okay.
those Scott Jurek's words to me, and like, come on, look at
Very
this guy.
nice. You
I
got
mean, come on,
coaching from
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 Scott
the
Jurek,
legend.
like, yeah, right. And I was like, I don't know
All
for what
right.
it's worth. I said, hey, if Scott Jurek says you should do that, and I'm like, okay, Sahil, here we go. Get going. And poor Sahil, at one point, he feels so bad about this because on my watch I have these segments, Joey. Now these Garmin things are amazing. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
discovering more things about my watches every day goes by, and I got this for my 50th birthday, which has been a little while now. But it says how many feet you got to the next climb. And to pointed rocks, at one point it
Oh,
said, I don't know, 900, 1,500 feet, something like that. And I told
yeah.
Sahil, and Sahil says, of course, another word. He says, oh no, or oh, oh crap, or something like that. And later on, he said, Dad, I
Yeah.
shouldn't have said that because I'm your pacer. I should have something positive instead of saying, you know, oh, that's really gonna
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah. Uh,
But
yeah.
we got to Pointed Rocks or Painted Rocks, and my friend George was there. Rehan, my younger son, was actually supposed to pace me at that point,
Yeah.
but I don't think he was feeling well. And George
Oh,
was, he said, get in, get out. You have a minute to get out of here before the horn goes. They were going to shut down the aid
wow.
station.
Okay. Okay.
And
So you're
he
getting
had the
close.
bottles ready for water. We didn't stop. If it was me, it was over. If it was me and without my people, without my
Mm,
crew, without my, my folk around me, that would have been it.
yeah.
But he put his head down and he said, we are going to run it. He said, he said, I don't care if you fall. And this is, I hope, he said, I don't care if you fall.
But
You're going to run every bit of this now, you know. And we
yeah.
started going, and we passed a couple of people. We passed this one guy and his crew, and then I think it was Highway 49. We got to that. It was deserted. Again, I had visions of people there. I was like, is this the aid station? Because all that is, it looks like a truck has backed up and is packing up right now. It's picking up the extra supplies.
Uh,
But no,
yeah.
we got there and we passed this other person on the bridge, No Hands Bridge. I mean, come on. I was at No
Okay.
Hands Bridge.
Yeah.
There was, oh my gosh, I was so
That's
excited to be there.
iconic.
I think it
I
was.
know.
It was like I couldn't
I
help it. I was
know.
like such a conflict because my feet, I don't know, at Robinson Flat, which is at 30 miles in, I had blisters on the bottom
Yeah.
of my feet. I've never had
Already
at
at 30
30
miles in.
miles. They were so big
Oh,
that they were like water balloons on the bottom of my feet. They were literally, I could feel them sloshing. And I think it was shoes that were not totally broken in, and the amount of ice
mm,
I had to put on myself. I was constantly wet, you know. I think that's what
yeah.
happened. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so as we're going No Hands Bridge, my blisters are like sloshing around, and I'm like, I'm on No Hands Bridge. There's probably an Indian flag out there. I'm sure I would have stopped and taken a picture. These are all
Uh,
the dreams I had,
oh my
of
God.
pictures like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that iconic picture I have from all of ultra running is
Yeah.
from the Bear, though. You know, the Bear 100 is a
Yeah.
race that goes from northern Utah to southern Idaho. So it goes from Logan to Fish Haven. And there's a place where
Okay.
you
Wow.
cross on foot from Utah to Idaho. And there's a little
To
wooden
Idaho.
sign. Everybody
Wow.
takes a picture with that. I have a picture there.
Okay.
And George, my friend, was the pacer for me there too. But anyway, I would
Okay.
have stopped on No Hands Bridge, but I couldn't stop on No Hands Bridge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think at that point I experienced the most pain in ultra running I have ever experienced. And I
Mm,
think I remember I made this sound. I've never made a sound. Like I made a sound like I'm about to die out of breath, like when I was doing my keeping up with my 320 marathon guys at Carmel, like I'm dying. But
yeah.
no, this
Yeah.
was, what it reminded me of is Rehan, our younger son, was a home birth. We had him at home. And I
Yeah.
remember my wife we had him to train. You make these sounds, when you're in pain, you
Yeah.
have to get the only way to deal with it. I mean, I will never be in as much pain as my wife has been ever. I know that for sure. But
Right.
this was pretty sinking close. So
This
that
sounded like
sounded
it though.
like it. I mean, people
So
were like, there were some people on the trail that was not, but I was making these sounds and I did not stop. Well, I know George would have kicked, like literally like kicked me if I had stopped. So no, we ran all the way to
Are you
Roby Point.
thinking you can make it at this
No,
point? Are you
at this
thinking
point, Joey,
that are you looking at your watch
no,
going, I'm going to be a couple minutes
no. At
late, or
this
what are you
point, I know
thinking?
two things. I'm gonna be on the course. I'm staying on the course, and this will be over.
Yep.
That's all I thought about. I don't think I was like I have to go. I have to keep moving. I had some idea of the cutoffs because they were telling me, George was telling me how much I needed. Till Roby Point, I thought I could do it. I thought I had it, you know. And I think at that point when we got there, I think there was another friend of mine. He drove in from actually from Burbank just for the race, and he kind of crewed me and helped me. But I think he said something about a pace. He said I'd have to do a 7 minute mile or something. Joey, I don't do
Oh
a
my
7 minute
gosh.
mile downhill on a windy day with the wind on my back. It was not going to
Joe.
happen. But I
Yeah.
think at that time, that from Roby Point to the finish was, I know it kind of sounds corny to say this, but it was kind of like life in a way. You know, it's like, I have control over what's going on here. Am I going to keep
Yeah.
all those people who, they were like, you're too fat, you're too slow. Look at you, you sweat walking just 100 yards. You can't run a 10K. You're not gonna make it. You know, your feet are too
Yeah.
flat. Your glasses are too thick. I wore glasses when I was 6 years old. People would make fun of me for that. So I think I know I
Yeah.
put so much in it, but I think that last bit from Roby Point to the finish was me weird, weird kind of like I had to
Defying all of
define
that.
that, right? I had
Yeah.
to make it to the end,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
what's funny was when I came around to the end to the stadium, these people were running out, and I was like, what the heck? There's an emergency or something like that, or people leaving? What's going on? There were some of the guys with the cameras that were coming out, and
Yeah.
it was just the weirdest. It never struck to me that anybody was watching or anything like that till
Watching
I
you.
came into the stadium, and even then, my we got in the car, and Sahil says, "This is not till the car. This is after I had got the entry or the invitation for next year." He said, "Dad, I've got a video of you," and I said, "You took a video?" He goes, "No, it was on YouTube." Um, and I was like, I had no idea, and yeah, it was that
Wow.
I don't think I heard
So,
anything. It was just so my head was so loud, the noise I was making was so loud. I didn't hear anything. I wanted at the end I did look at the clock when I first got into the stadium because you had to look up there
yeah,
and it was blank. It
it
was
was,
over.
which tells you that you're
Your pass
past
cut off.
cutoff,
I think in the old
right?
days they probably
Yeah.
leave it running, but I think it's better to
Yeah.
turn it off because you keep it running and maybe think like, maybe they're
Yeah.
gonna give you a leeway. But no, it was over.
Okay. So this is, I mean, this is critical to. So you get on the track, the clock is blank. You know that you're past cutoff. The crowd is roaring. You can't figure out what's going on. You don't know that you're the first one to cross the line after the cutoff, do
No,
you? At what point do you find that out? At what point does, I don't know if it's Craig or Topher who comes up to you, at what point do you find out you're the first one across the line and that they want you to come back later so you can get this award?
so when I first crossed the line, I think it was Craig. He got a medal to me, and I looked at him and I said, "But I didn't finish." And he said, "No, you still get a medal." And so I put it on, and the whole time I'm thinking like,
Okay.
no, this is I did not finish this thing. Um, and then I think he said, "Would you mind sticking around?" Or was it Topher? Maybe Topher said, "Would you mind sticking around for the ceremony? I think we have something for you that I think you will like," he said, or I think that would be a
Okay.
worthwhile thing for you to wait for. So why don't you just wait for the
Okay.
ceremony? Because I was gonna pack up, get out of there.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course not. was probably gonna say. But so yeah, he I said okay, and then I don't know. Then I just saw these people come around me that had I was like, why are you guys even like coming and talking? I am just like the beat up guy who barely made it with these terrible sounds. Uh, Billy Yang, Billy Yang and Corinne,
Yes,
they came up
I got to meet
and oh,
Billy
so
this
awesome.
year.
I was
Yeah.
like, you've got me mistaken with somebody else here, or something like something crazy is going on. Like, am I really looking that bad, or what's the deal? No, and I didn't know what it was till the very end before they called me up in the award ceremony. They just,
But before we get to that point, tell me, tell me about the shirt you wore to the award
oh,
ceremony, and tell me the story of that shirt because I
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
just awesome. I think it's beautiful. Tell me the story.
Uh, so I work in a hospital that has a lot of, immigrant, significant number of immigrant population. I, I, I've seen people from all over the world. Um, I am an immigrant. I am a first generation, American, Indian American. Um, I feel like I needed to say something in a way to support um, my friends, my family, my kids, my
Yeah.
sons, my patients, my neighbors, my Nepali neighbors, So I came up with this idea that I was gonna wear that at Western, and it was gonna be hopefully okay because I didn't want anybody to not like it. It was only positive. But I
Yeah.
support immigrants. I will stand up for immigration, for immigrant rights, and I will, whether it's as a patient or as an advocate, I will be there for them to listen to them and their stories and to hold their hand. Um, and I told my wife, I said, when I come to that stadium, I want you to be there with that shirt, please, and the Indian flag.
Oh, I love
and
it. I love
and
it.
but the crazy thing is this: on the way to from Pointed Rock to the stadium, the car we had rented, which was like I don't know, it was some fancy, I don't know how I got it. They must have upgraded something. It was a hybrid car. It stalled in the middle of the expressway, and uh, there were cars behind my wife. This time I'm running. Okay, I'm on my way here, and my wife tells me that
Yeah.
this is a two-lane highway. The car's behind her. There's a cop car that pulls over. Luckily, and she can't get this thing started. This whatever, I won't say the name of the thing. But
Yeah.
so she is panicking because she's like, Neeraj is finishing there. I can't make it there. The kids are in the car. The kids are supposed to be there to see him finish. She pleads to the police officer. She says, hey, can you take my kids to the finish? And the guy was so nice. You think about kindness
Oh,
among people. He
yeah.
said, I have to go to this one place. It's only a little bit away, but I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna take your kids to Placer High. It's crazy. This is while I'm doing this crazy run there.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so, and then the car starts. But so we didn't have to use a police officer. And she made it, but she made it late. So she did not have, of course, she wasn't there to witness because she was parking the car, me coming into the stadium. So she came at the end and she got the shirt and she had the flag. But the goal was for me to change into that shirt
Yeah.
um, before I
And what
go.
does the shirt
It
say?
says
I
it
know what it
says
says.
here for the immigrants. I'm just here for the immigrants. I would say I'm here for my friends. I'm here for my family. I'm here for my loved ones. I'm here for the immigrants. And it said Western States and my bib number below that. and I was supposed to wear it on the last the last loop around, with my Indian flag, because I when I became a citizen of the United States, I had to give up my Indian citizenship, and it's just the rules and stuff like that. But it's dear to me. Um,
Yeah,
rest of my family's
absolutely.
there, so that was the goal. That was going to happen. So
So instead, you've got the shirt on here for the immigrants. You wear it to the awards ceremony. And at what point do you find out of this special brand new award, new for 2025, right before they announce it?
right before they announced it, they said there's something very special for you, and so I got up, and at one point they said, Neeraj, go up front. So I walked up there, and then they started announcing all these names. Now my brain is not working right. I mean, it's all like all over, and I'm even to that point, I'm thinking, there's some kind of recognition, perhaps. They'll say your name or something like that, or you'll get an award, something. But I did not know about the golden ticket till I think it was a Topher that introduced James, and then James Bonnet then handed out the ticket to me. So till that point, I knew there was a build up. There was almost like the buzz. I think perhaps one of them, either Craig or Topher, had told my family. I think somebody knew because they wanted to make sure I was not passed out or
Okay. Conscious.
that they would be
Make
able
sure
to
you were
help me up
conscious.
if I was not able to get up. So I
Yeah.
think they had told them, but it
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't clear to me till I saw James standing there with the ticket and him announcing the name.
Wow.
And yeah, that's when it was real.
So for my audience, as Neeraj has said, it's incredibly difficult to get into Western states. You have to run 100-mile, 100K qualifiers. Some people spend 15 years, never get in. You finally get in. You finish past the cutoff. And unbeknownst to anyone, this is the first year where the first finisher past the cutoff gets an automatic entry into next year's Western States.
Amazing.
So you're going back.
Amazing.
You're going back. You're
It's
going back.
unbelievable.
Now, I know it's so awesome. Now, a question for you: you have to do a qualifier. You had to do a 100-mile or some race would qualify you for the event. Do they cover your entry fees, or you have to pay those again too? I
No, I
suppose,
have to
huh?
pay them again. Yeah. And as
Okay,
and
all
as
right.
life
But
and as life would have it, I'm going to tell you this real quick. Nothing comes. I think
yeah,
like nothing comes easy, and it's got to be a challenge, and that's part of it too. But so I couldn't finish Woodstock 100, which is the race I tried to repeat, and I think that was because I had enough time, but I was not prepared mentally to finish. I think the DNF just took its emotional toll. And then I had this race in Ohio. It's called the Canal Corridor, and it was my only shot to get in. I had to do this, Joey. This was it. So first of all, with the shutdown, there was an email that went out that said it may be canceled. So, but then they rerouted it because of the shutdown, we couldn't run through the national park, so we ran around Akron. They modified it. And then a week before we're leaving, I'm talking to Rehan, my youngest son, and I'm like, "Hey, I've got to go." And he says, "Dad, my senior day is on Friday." And I'm like, Rehan, I have the race on Saturday. And he says, Oh, Dad, it's okay if you have to miss the senior day ceremony because Rehan plays in a band, so he's a band major,
okay, right.
and so it's the last football game of the season. I can't miss it. There's no way. So I start calculating. The game is over at 7:30 in the evening. I'm sorry. The game
God.
starts at 7 o'clock in the evening. Halftime is when Rehan will be. He gets a banner. This is a big deal. He gets a banner. They announce his name. We walk into the center. 9 o'clock, they're gonna announce his name. 9 to 9:30. At 9:30, I gotta drive, and I gotta make it to Akron. So
How many
it's
miles
about
is
five
that?
hours. So My wife and
Oh
I,
God.
we got the ceremony done. At 9:30 we leave. We drive through the night. We get to the hotel at like I think it was like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I think it was more like 3:30. My wife is a champ. She did all the driving. I try to get a little bit of snooze. I can't sleep in cars very well, but I think I did get a little bit. So we got to Akron around 4 o'clock, checked into the hotel, slept for an hour and a half. At 7 o'clock, I think I got up at like 5,
Oh.
got ready, starting line, 7 o'clock. I did it. I just had to do it. I At that point I was not running it as a qualifier as much as I was running as I just had to do it. It's just one of those things. I there was a purpose, you know. I don't know exactly what the purpose is, Joey. I don't know. Like I said, I'm an ordinary guy. I got this chance to do it again. There must be some reason why. I'm not super religious about stuff, but I believe there's a purpose we're here for, that we serve. So there's something about it. And yeah, I just ran that towpath on Akron. Oh my gosh, back and forth, back and forth. It's okay. Yeah. So got it done
Uh,
and got to Rehan
this is
ceremony.
crazy. It's like you couldn't write this for a movie script for Hollywood. So the last because you have to qualify. You have to get a 100-mile race in before November. This is mid
November 2nd
October.
is the cutoff. Yeah,
Last
last chance. There's
chance.
one other race that I could go to, but I couldn't get time off for this. They would write me up at
Okay.
work. I I would I don't want to endanger my job because that's what I'd have to
No,
do if
no,
I didn't do
no.
canal. I'd have
Yeah,
to go to Pinhoti, which is a race and it's a beautiful race, but
yeah.
I have no time for that. My vacation days are gone.
I
So
know.
yeah, it had.
So you got it. You got it done. You finished. I remember you
I
posted on
finished.
Instagram, and I was so excited for
I
you. I
finished.
was because I've been following your story, and I'm like super excited. So you're in. You're into Western states. You've got your ticket. What's your training going to be like between now and then?
So a lot more organized, I would think.
Yeah.
I've made some changes already. I think I mentioned I've changed
Okay.
my work place. So my new job is
Okay.
in the same hospital, but it's 3 miles from the house. So my goal is to bike
Oh,
or
nice.
run, and I don't have to cross any expressways. So that's going to be some changes in my life. I cannot not work. It's just the reality of where I
Yeah.
am right now.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
plan to
Same.
have a more rigorous schedule that I'm gonna do. I will reach out to people. I don't know about coaches because I think I've not had a coach because I'm like I'm gonna let them down. They're gonna tell me to do something, and I'm gonna.
Yeah.
But I will. I think I am gonna do that. But Joey, before that,
Okay.
in in January, I got picked for a race in Hawaii, and it's called the Hurt 100. And I'm actually
Oh no,
over
you're
here.
not doing
Hold on.
that. You're not
Take
doing
a hurt.
that. That's
Take a
crazy
hurt.
race.
Yes.
That's so hard. Everyone
Yes.
says it's impossible.
So I went.
Are you
I
doing that?
am. I got picked in the lottery.
Oh god.
So the thing is this:
Okay.
in 2022, I went there and I ran 80 miles. I did it 4 times. 80 miles in 30. I
Yeah.
timed out, as a lot of people do. That year was like one of the lowest
Yeah.
things too, because I think they allowed a lot of people to come in because of COVID. People dropped out, so I got in.
Yeah.
But Hurt is the most amazing race when you think about feeling at home and feeling accepted and feeling
Yeah.
they are the best people. And when I got picked,
Yeah.
I had to do it again. It was like one of
You
those
have to
things,
do it.
right? So January, I think it's January 16th or so, but I am mentally, I am doing all I can right now to get ready
Yeah.
and to do my utmost at Hurt. My goal at Hurt is push till you can't go no more. And I
Okay.
respect that race so much because of how it was established, what it's for. It was established by um, John Samuelson. He passed in 2023. He was called Big John. And Big John is
Yeah.
awesome. I've never met him. I only seen him in videos, but it
Yeah.
was just incredible. And I remember his motto for the race. And I hope I'm allowed to say this because it's you know the motto for the race is no profits, no assholes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's his
Nice.
thing, and it goes to
Love it.
show that
Love it.
they care so much about everybody.
Yeah.
It's literally they just think you are everything. It's amazing. Someday I want to go there and
Yeah.
volunteer, but I am gonna go and I'm, I'm gonna do it
Awesome.
too. I got my ticket. I don't have a place to stay, so but at least I have a ticket and I've paid the registration and did my volunteer work.
There you go. Well, that'll be a good part of your training block going out to Hawaii to run the Hurt 100.
Yeah, I never wear
That'll
a
get you in
shirt
shape.
till after I've completed the race. The only two exceptions are
Okay.
Hurt and Western. I have my I
Okay.
ran a race in Idaho. I am tough. I've never worn that shirt because I will not wear the shirt unless I have completed it. But I will wear the
There you
only
go.
two races that get exceptions to that is because of effort. I think I gave Hurt and
No,
Western. I felt like I gave it
yes.
respect, and to me, that's the
My
thing.
gosh, of course you did. And the other thing is, you're going to complete both of them in
That's the goal.
2026. And
That's
so
the
I'm putting
goal.
it out there in the universe right now. You're going to complete both in 2026. So you can wear the shirts. So
It's good.
this is awesome. I don't want to take up your whole night. I want to close out here. I just love your story. I'm rooting for you. You've got a lot of fans out there. The I Run Far article, how was that? Did they approach you after the race and heard about your story and just interview you real quick? Or when? How did that come about, the I Run
I think
Far
it was pretty
article?
quick. I think I just gotten back. It had been a couple of weeks, and Esther, who wrote the article, just reached out to me,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
Okay.
we just did a little video interview, and then they wrote the article after that. It's the first time I'd really talked about myself, so it was very kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Didn't want to talk about myself,
Sure.
and then I was like,
Dude, you are yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah, you're a
I hope I
superstar now. You've
inspire,
met Topher, you've met Grant, you've got an
uh,
article in I Run Far. People are going to be
uh,
watching your videos and going,
I
"That guy is
I inspire. I
inspiring
want to
me."
inspire the guys who don't think they can, but you know what? They can. So
Yeah,
just kind of keep plugging, keep moving. I tell my patients all the time, there's no option. You don't have an option but to keep moving in life
yeah.
because there's no plan B. You got to keep moving.
There's there's no DNF
No,
in life,
no.
so you got to keep going. I'm going to close this out. I like to do a couple of things at the end. Now, I assume Western States is your dream race. Is there another trail race besides Western States that you would love to do that you haven't done so yet?
Um, there is, and this is so way out there. It sounds absolutely absurd. It's called um, the Grand Raid. And Joey, this is a race in
Yes.
the middle.
Diagonal
Yes.
Defu?
Why would you
Yes.
not want
Let's do
to?
it. I want to do
You know
it.
that race. That's so
You know
funny.
I want to do it cuz it looks
Yes.
amazing. It
You
looks
know that
super hard,
race? That's
but
cool.
like the views are
Very few people even
incredible.
know
Yeah.
about that race. It's incredible. And it's
No.
close to India. I mean, a
Yes.
few thousand water miles
Yep.
away. And it just sounds
Yeah.
amazing, doesn't it? So yeah,
Yes.
the Grand Raid.
Yeah, love it. I love that. That's a great answer.
That
The
is so
Grand
far out
Raid. Didn't
there.
even
I'd
think
have
of
to
that.
like, I don't know, I had to
Oh.
move to Maldives or I don't know. Maybe I get a job out there on the islands.
Well,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, that's
Yes.
crazy far. Um, how about a hobby? Is it a hobby you like to do that has nothing to do with trail running?
Uh, I've tried different things. I've built on different things.
Yeah.
I like working on cars because anything with my
Oh,
hands. Because growing up in India, because the cost of labor is so cheap. We never did anything. My dad would always like call
Yeah.
somebody, say, "Hey, come fix this thing," and it'd be fixed for no.
Yeah.
So anything like building things, like I always want to
Yeah.
learn how to operate, like
Yeah.
how to fix cars or build things with my hands.
Yeah.
I think that's what I lack. So that's my thing I want to work on. In fact, a patient of mine,
Awesome.
she is. I was talking to her about clearing out stuff in my backyard, and she said she had an extra chainsaw, and she said, "I'm going to get you a chainsaw." I said, "That's that totally sounds crazy."
I love it.
She's 80 years
I
old,
love
and
it.
she has that's her alarm. That's how she nobody enters the house because she's got two chainsaws sitting on her dining table.
Nice. Nice. Well, maybe she can get together with the gal who's 70 who's cleaning her own
Yeah,
gutters
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
you
right.
know, they can become friends. Um so my final thing I like to do is ask people, and I have a listener and a buddy on Strava from Ireland who gave me this, but he's like, ask people what their 5 favorite pieces of gear are, because we always are like, what kind of shoes are you wearing? What do you do? So that's what I like to end with, Neeraj, is what's 5 pieces of gear that you like to have when you go for a run, either a race or just a
Nice.
run?
Is it okay to say like brand names? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I like I got these shoes and I got them on sale. They're the normal shoes and they're from Killian's,
Oh,
but they were on
yeah.
sale. So,
Yeah.
so I love
Yeah.
them actually. They're durable. They're
Yeah.
gonna
Okay.
last me. They were cheap and they're gonna go for a while.
Nice.
I
Love
have
it.
my I have a Solomon vest. I like my vest.
Which Solomon vest? I
It
wear Solomon vests
is,
too.
gosh, the
ADV
Pro.
12 or
I
5
think it's a
or
Pro, Advanced Pro, something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one
okay.
that is.
All
Pro
right.
10. I think it's like
All
the
right.
Pro 10 or
Very good.
something like that. I've had it for a
Okay.
few years. Of course, my
Okay.
Garmin. I've got a Fenix.
Your
I've got
Garmin.
the Fenix 6X Pro. I do not plan
Okay.
to upgrade because I looked at the cost of the new ones. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
You could even buy a car in some
I
decades. You
know.
could have bought a
I
car
mean,
for
it's
the
almost
price
as
of these
expensive as my
watches. It's
kids'
crazy.
musical instruments. By the way, did you know like a new
Yeah.
flute is costing about twenty thousand
Yes.
dollars?
20,000?
Yes.
Oh my
So the
gosh.
listeners out there, who kids are into music, you may want to get them into something like a little smaller.
Oh.
But so I have my Garmin
Yeah.
watch, and then I never run with music and all, so I'm not going to use any of that. Well,
Okay.
I'll have my hiking poles. I like my Black Diamond hiking poles.
Oh, Black
Yes.
Diamond. I've never tried those. I've been converted to the Leckies, and I like
I,
those.
I think I've always used Black
I assume
Diamond.
very
Yeah, I
similar.
think
Yep.
Lucky's people are
Yeah.
talking about it. And I think if I'm running in
Yeah.
the snow, which I'm going to run now, I'm going to have my Catula micro spikes. They are
Catula
awesome. You
micro
can
spikes.
totally stride out on a sheet of ice in those Catula micro
Well,
spikes.
I can't stride out like on dry
No, no,
pavement
of
with
course. This
super
is how
shoes, but
this is this is me feeling like I'm striding out. It's probably not
Right,
looking like a
right.
stride out.
Well, this has been delightful. This has been such a thrill for me. I am super excited for you. I'm rooting for you. I'm going to watch. Now I got to look out for the Hurt 100s. So I got to watch you finish that. I'll be rooting for you at Western States. I was interviewing a lady I met at Mammoth 50K this year, and she volunteers out at Western States. And I'm tempted to, I don't know what my June looks like. There again, it's expensive to travel. I'm like, I should volunteer at Western States, and then I could hand you a water bottle when you
That'd be
run
so
by me, and
awesome.
you're under
Yeah, yeah,
cutoffs.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it'd be awesome. It's so amazing there. I love it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you, and thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate
Well,
having
thanks
you
for
on.
having me on. I appreciate you listening to my story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for doing everything you do. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I get to meet people like you, and that's why I do this. So. Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you for sharing your stories and your passion. I know now what an extraordinary person and runner that you are, and I will definitely be rooting for you at Western States in 2026. I'll have links in the show notes, including one to the I Run Far article that he was featured in, as well as a link so you can learn a little bit more about the town of Nainital. Well, that's it for this time. Until next time, cheers and take care. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Let's be here for each other. Let's be here for the immigrants. And always keep pushing to the top, because that is where the great views are. And that is the only finish line that really matters.